Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. All the best stories start with, I have a blank family member who's a lawyer. That's when you know crap's really about to get intense. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Business refused to refund $40. The courts ordered him to pay $230. Story time. Last September, my wife had planned a wonderful Father's Day present for me. Father's Day's in September in Australia. This was to be my first ever Father's Day as a new dad, so to mark the occasion, my wife had arranged to have our daughter's face laser etched onto a dog tag. However, the day before Father's Day, she received the item back and it was, shall we say, subpar. So she came and showed me my present early. Now, I've had some experience with crappy retailers before and remembered to always come prepared when disputing the quality of any goods and services. So I set my phone to record all audio and approached the retailer. I explained that my wife was upset at the quality of the engraving, and rightfully so. I requested a refund and was immediately met with resistance. To begin with, they blamed the quality on the photo we provided. Then when I disputed that, they said that the laser engraving doesn't do depth very well, and some faces can end up with some shadows missing. End of conversation. They refused a refund and threatened to call security if I didn't leave. The engraver's located in a mall that I also happen to work at. My wife and I left. We straight away left a less than glowing review on their Google page, which was met with accusations of us being unreasonable and threatening violence. Ours was not the only review to which they had this response. They informed us that the matter had been passed on to the local police and that a restraining order had been applied for. We immediately called all local police stations and were delighted to hear that they had never heard of the company in question. After some thought, and me being the stubborn jerk that I am, I decided to forward the matter on to the local small claims tribunal. A month or so passed, and our day in the tribunal had arrived. We honestly weren't expecting the engraver to show up, but lo and behold, there he was, at a civil claims court, in camo pants and a hoodie. We met in a room with a mediator, who told us that it may not be worth chasing a $40 refund from somebody who is, in short, a D-head. She warned that it may end up costing more than the service to begin with, but as mentioned before, I'm stubborn. We pushed forward, opting to go to the hearing. This is when we heard some marvelous news from the engraver. I'm not prepared to go to hearing today. I haven't got any of my evidence. Ding, ding, ding. We went to the hearing that day, the registrar ruled in our favor and issued a notice of payment. The business was to pay us $40 within 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, no payment, no surprise. During this time, I'd been communicating via email with the holder of the engraver's lease, who in response to my complaint, among many others, had decided to terminate the lease, effectively kicking the engraver out of the mall. My man. While the engraver was organizing a new venue for his business, I'd filed a motion for a writ for levy of property, meaning the local sheriff was able to enter his premises and relieve him of merchandise to the value of the refund plus court fees, now totaling $139. I informed the engraver, asking him if he would like to settle like a reasonable person or have the sheriff pay him a visit. He was not a reasonable person. Once the writ had been issued, the fee then increased to $225. All I had to do was wait. And wait I did, until March 13th, this year, when the sheriff finally attended his new business premises. He was offered an ultimatum: pay the fee or have merchandise repossessed. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. The man paid. He was stubborn for 6+ months over a $40 refund, only to be down $225 plus $5 interest. That's not how the law works, after a court order against him, LOL. And our next story. Still selling books? No, had to stop. This revenge story is 2 years in the making and is long, so my apologies. 2 years ago, I started a distance PhD program. My very first full semester in the program consisted of an intro course, which is basically, welcome back to school, here's how to do research. Here's how to do APA citations. A lot of it focused on proper APA writing, and one of the first assignments was just doing a simple abstract. Okay, I can do that. I pull out my trusty APA guide, which I just bought online, and complete the assignment and get a D-. I was completely shocked. I'd followed the book to the letter. how the hell did I get a D-? I messaged my professor and told her I followed the book exactly, and she did the academic equivalent of patting me on the head and saying, "Of course you did, dear." By this time, I was thinking I was out of my mind. I sent a strongly worded letter to the APA that basically said, "What the hell is wrong with you guys selling a book like this?" They wrote back and did the business equivalent of patting me on the head and saying, "We're sorry you don't like our book." Then I started really looking at the book and started noticing a lot of typos. Eventually, everything clicked and I realized, holy crap, these are OCR, optical character recognition errors. This is a scanned and reprinted counterfeit textbook. So I took a bunch of pictures of the errors and did what any good internet user would do, scribble on them in MS Paint with red arrows, put snarky captions on them, and upload them. My first thought was, wow, this poor seller got taken advantage of by whoever printed their books. In retrospect, this was probably stupidly naive, but that seems to be a common theme in my life. So I wrote them a very polite email and sent them the photos of the book and said, "I think you might have been provided a pirated version of the book." Well, the seller didn't appreciate that and wrote me back a super nasty email saying that my suggestion that they were selling counterfeits was very offensive. All their books were brand new from the publishers, and that I was a B and they were going to report to the police for slander. Okay, I was pretty upset about the crappy grade, but you wrote me back and swore at me and threatened to report me to the police? Yeah, now I'm PO'd. I start by looking up their Amazon seller profile and notice a couple other people have reported that books received from this seller were missing pages or had other unusual issues. This is the part where I went full internet stalker. I searched for their company name and found it was a registered LLC. I got the address from their state's listing of small business registrations, which turned out to be a fairly nice-looking house per Google Maps, then looked up property tax records on the house to get the owner's name. I found the owner on Facebook and found they had a business website listed under a completely different name that they'd shared all over their Facebook timeline. And their website was pretty blatant about the whole thing. "We offer you deeply discounted prices by having books printed on demand." I don't think that's how publishing works. I reported them to Amazon and Abe Books and Biblio and eBay. Basically anywhere I could find them selling anything at all, I reported them. I wrote to the APA and apologized for my terse email and sent them copies of the photos of the book along with all of the seller's personal information. They respond and say they're going to send it to their legal folks and ask if it's okay if they contact me for more info. Finally, I report them to the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center. Today, I happened upon my old APA manual and started wondering what happened to them. So I dug up the emails and the info and went looking. They no longer have seller profiles on any of the sites. Their website's been taken over by a domain reseller. The house appears to have been sold last year, which may not be related, but I like to think it is. And the owner's Facebook page lists them as now working at a place that turns out to be a payday lender. I dug through their timeline and found someone asking in October of last year if they were still selling books and them replying with, "No, had to stop." Also, my professor raised my grade to a B+. And you would never have done any of this if they just said, "Thanks, we'll investigate." Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one. And our next story, Purple Porch Pirate. In July, my elderly neighbor had her grandson and pregnant girlfriend move in to help them out. She's a widowed lady in her 70s, babbles a lot, but sweet. I have a soft spot for her. Years ago, she cornered me as I was leaving to take my dog on a walk. My dog was unhappily pacing, waiting for the walk while we listened to her stories. He peed on her during the story. She's so senile she didn't notice. Just a few days later, I'm mowing my backyard and the grandson walks past my house carrying an Amazon envelope. Weird. An hour later, sweet little old lady comes over with the envelope her grandson had. This was in my landscaping. Totally forgot I'd ordered my kids the movie Leap. See, I'm a criminal defense attorney, probably the only one this lady knows. If I call the cops, my neighbor will try to hire me. It'll get weird. She's so sweet, I'll be a witness, he's on probation, so he'll sit in jail for a while. This'll totally make me look like a snitch to my own clients in that same jail who are thieves, addicts, and burglars. It's bad personally and professionally, and it's not the biggest deal. So I filled up an Amazon box with purple rain powder that was ordered to my office. A dry dye that gets darker and spreads when it comes into contact with your sweat. It lasts a week on your skin. Think leaking pen times 50. Why? I want to shame him. And it won't come back on me. He's not going to call the cops for stealing my crap. He's not going to tell his grandma he stole it from me. And if it makes a mess in her house, it's still cheaper for her than hiring a lawyer and paying her grandson's court costs and fines. Yep, package was gone in 20 minutes. I walked past the home, screams of anger at the pregnant girlfriend. This crap won't come off. It's all over my grandma's house. Priceless. The following day, I give him the head nod as he smokes a cigarette in a hoodie in July. He runs inside. Then I taught my kids to yell, Smurf, when we walk past.